The West Virginia Mountaineers are set to host Coach Prime and the Colorado Buffaloes in Morgantown for a noon kickoff on TNT. Can the Mountaineers build off their win last week and keep their bowl hopes alive? Find out on this episode of the Coal Country Podcast.
You are now entering Coal Country.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Coal Country Podcast, where we discuss everything WVU sports. I'm your host, Ian McIntyre, joining me as always. Tyler, how we doing?
I'm happy to be here, as Matt Howe would say. Looking forward to a Saturday for once, maybe. A little bit more.
It's going to be an early game. Yeah, more optimistic Saturday. It's going to be an early game. That might be a good thing for us, and definitely more optimistic with the opponent we're facing. Even though they're no slouch, we'll get into that. But anyway, let me go ahead and pull this up, and we'll get started. Before we start doing the deep dive on the Colorado game, make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel, like the video, helps us out in the algorithm. Follow the Instagram, follow the X, and don't forget about Spotify. So let's hop right into it. Colorado, Coach Prime coming into Morgantown to see if they can finally get a W in conference play after the Iowa State upset. Seeing if they can knock off West Virginia. I think we got other plans. It's going to be a fun day in Morgantown. It's going to be an exciting matchup. I'm feeling good about it. I think Scotty Fox is feeling good about it. It's going to be a team that I think he can put some yards through the air up on. They got a key player missing. They're missing. I pulled up the wrong one. Tafik Bayard, I think is his name, right? So they're missing him. So
safety Tafik Bayard. He's their leading tackler by quite a large margin. 63 total tackles. That's the first place by 13. And second is linebacker Jeremiah Brown with 50. Solo tackles is the big jump from second to first place. Jeremiah Brown has 27. Tafik Bayard has 46. But like you mentioned, he'll miss the first half of this game because of a penalty call or a targeting call in the Arizona game. That, to me, isn't the storyline, though. The storyline for me is true freshman versus true freshman at the quarterback position. Colorado has largely been going with Caden Salter up to this point, but Dion announced earlier this week that Julian Lewis, five-star true freshman quarterback, would be getting the start against West Virginia, his first start at quarterback. Hasn't really had an opportunity to show what he can do thus far. He's had a couple of chances to do a little bit, but like I said, just minor snaps here and there. And it kind of reminds me in the position of where we were going against TCU. Limited tape on Scotty Fox going into TCU, limited tape on Julian Lewis going in against Colorado. So how much of a factor does that play? Can the true freshman give Colorado a spark that West Virginia was looking for not too long ago, especially because Colorado has looked really rough the past couple of weeks. They've, I'm sure I can find the exact number here, but they've been outscored 100 and some to.
They lost 52-17 against Arizona, which was a really bad loss to have coming off getting blown out by Utah as well. Utah scored in the 50s. So it was not a great couple weeks for Colorado, and they're going to be looking forward to bounce back from that.
Over the past two games, they've been outscored 105-24. And so their defense is kind of their Achilles heel, but they haven't done a lot on offense either. So can West Virginia keep the momentum, or can Colorado find a spark?
You know, it's a good question for both teams. They're both going to be looking to do that, and I think it's possible for both sides of the ball. I think we saw each other after the Houston game, and we both said that we can see a scenario where we lose this Colorado game, even after all of the hype that we got from walking into Houston and taking that win from them. I think it would be very easy for this team to get complacent after seeing what Colorado's done the past few weeks, but I think our guys are mentally tougher than that. Again, you got to play with the hard edge and wrench rod system. I think they come out and do that. And not to say the words of Neil Brown here, but there's going to be some nice weather nice weather on Saturday. It's going to be warm. There are going to be a lot of fans there. So that's going to egg them on as well. And Scotty, I think this is the game where I think you see Scotty improve on some of his passing ability, specifically placing the ball where the receiver is going to be. You know, we saw in this ECU game where he was trying to get some deep balls out to Cam Vaughn, you know, misplace them on the sideline or what have you, underthrown. I think this is an opportunity where you see him get better at the passing placement. And I think you can see him have a 200 plus yard passing yard day once again against his Colorado secondary.
Hopefully, we finally have a quarterback past Nico in total yardage. Nico is still our passing leader through 8 games with 720. Scotty Fox is behind him by 97 yards. So hopefully, we see Scotty Fox, you know, finally pass him up and be the passing leader on the season. I do think he can do that. This is if there was ever a game for Scotty Fox to, you know, get into a rhythm and get comfortable, it's probably this one. But what you mentioned was don't get complacent, still play that hard edge football. To me, it starts on the ground. You've got to come out fast and establish the run, just like you did against Houston. Colorado has the worst rushing defense in the Big 12, letting opponents on average over 215 rushing yards a game. And I believe they are around, the third most nationally, giving up the third most rushing yards nationally. So ground and pound, baby. This is Rich Rod's offense is fast, establish the run. And if there was ever a game to do that, it's this one. And the second you do that, that starts opening things up for Scotty Fox to find his receivers in stride. I do want to see Cam Vaughn get a little more involved. Only one reception against Houston, even though you still found a way to win. Can you get him more involved in the passing game? But it starts on the ground. Get Dior Hubbard going, Sincere Bowers. I'm under the impression that Clay Ash is questionable. So are you down to 2 running backs? Who knows? Who knows what you see in terms of depth chart? But establishing the run game is my first key to the game, and especially here on offense. If Colorado's run defense just continues to be bad like it has been thus far, West Virginia should have no problem, even with the struggles they've had up front.
Yeah, I agree with you on that key. You know, I talked about before the Houston game as well, having success on first down and getting some solid yardage on first down. And you saw that start with the run game. And it wasn't only Dior, Sincere Bowers that contributed to the run game there on first down, contributed to the efficiency. It was the offensive line. The offensive line got a lot of push, especially on that opening drive, to allow us to build momentum and find the end zone. I think we have to see this offensive line once again come out with a lot of push. And they lost it during that Houston game, which wasn't the best thing for us either. So we got to be able to find a way to get that push initially and maintain it. And I think you're going to see Dior Hubbard and Sincere Bowers be a lot more efficient with the ball. So less carries, but more yards. So I think that's also going to be really important when we put the ball on the ground and try to be more efficient against Colorado.
Yeah. Something else I wanted to note is, because it's been an issue all year long, and it feels like it's always the key to the game that we talk about is third down efficiency. And this really can go on offense or defense, but particularly on offense. And we'll hop over to the defensive side of the ball here in a second. But 28.6% is our third down percentage. That ranks 131st nationally. What we did against Houston is, like you mentioned, you finally started to see some yardage on first and second down. We weren't getting stuck in these third and longs. And so it was a little better against Houston. And so can you carry that momentum? Because you're back in your own house, you're back on your own field. You can pound the ball on first and second down, get into third and short situations, and find a way to convert them. And another interesting note is we're really bad when it comes to third down percentage, but our red zone efficiency is 25th in the nation. When we get into the red zone, we're scoring 91.3% of the time. So long drives, like you saw against Houston to start out the game, 2 of them went right down the field and scored. Going to be about maintaining those drives, completing your third downs, and then back to the other side of the ball. Like I said, we'll switch to the defense here in a second, but that goes for the defense as well. As you got to find a way to get off the field on third down. You can't keep giving up these third and longs. Julian Lewis may not have as much experience in the college game, but he can sling it. He's got an arm. He's a 5-star for a reason, and so if you let a freshman get comfortable on the road that has the talent that Julian Lewis has, that's not a position you want to be in.
Yeah, I mean, you said it. This defense is going to have to step up. Looking at some team stats for the Mountaineers here, just in general on the defensive side of the ball, we're having very good sack efficiency. So getting pressure on him is going to be key. Once again, you saw us get pressure on Connor Wakeman, and he had trouble making decisions. Again, he threw that pick six to Jordy Scruggs. We're gonna have to get pressure on Colorado's quarterbacks. Like you were saying, they're going to be starting Julian Lewis, but got to get pressure on him. Again, he's a freshman. You know, we saw Scotty Fox make incorrect decisions against Pitt, so we force him into a couple of those decisions in a hostile environment. Which again, I think fans are going to show up for this one. We got to force him into some pressure. Number two, we got to do a better job in zone coverage. I've noticed a lot of the time in zone coverage, it seems like we honor the zone 100% of the time, where we don't necessarily follow a player into the zone. If you know what I mean, like say, like we're playing a cover two, but we got the safeties back there, and they're just honoring the zone whenever a dude's running down the sideline and there's no check down defender. They're just honoring the zone, and we're allowing them to get even like 2 or 3 extra yards against a completion. We can't be doing that, and so I think you got to get a lot more pressure on the receivers. Again, I like to call it the point of confrontation, is what I like to say. So, going to be a key on defense. Get pressure on them, get in these receivers' faces, and hopefully we don't get any more BS PI calls. But who
Yeah,
knows?
that was interesting last game.
It's the Big 12. But anyway, got to improve the tackling too. That's another thing. But we can say that about every game that we've played so far. So improve tackling, get pressure on the quarterback. I think you're fine on defense. You just got to show up like you did, especially in the first half of that Houston game. We'll be good.
Getting pressure is going to be huge, and not only because it establishes it gets you some sacks, gets you some TFLs, but also because this Colorado offense is 116th in the nation in terms of turnover margin. West Virginia is 37th. And so while we have had our fair share of turnovers, we've turned over the ball 12 times. That's 85th in the country. We've forced 16, which is 17th in the country. So we're turning it over a little bit, but we're forcing turnovers even more. Whereas as Colorado has turned it over 14 times, that's 111th in the country, and only forced 8. And so if Scotty can take care of the ball on offense, and the rest of the offensive playmakers can take care of the ball, wrap the ball up, don't fumble, 2 hands, and then the defense can continue to force turnovers like they've done all season. And we saw that especially in the Houston game. That was a huge reason we won. We saw the pick six, the weird pick off of Michael Coates' foot, and then a couple fumbles as well. And then obviously the one on special teams that ended up winning us the game. Take care of the ball, but then you get pressure on defense that forces a freshman to it speeds up his internal clock, right? So force him into some mistakes, make him make some bad throws. The crowd noise will play a factor. So the turnover margin, as it has all season, is going to play a huge role. In terms of defense, I think that's the biggest thing. You did mention, the zone coverage, and really the secondary as a whole has had some rough days this year. The saving grace has been those turnovers, which is why I think it's the one of the biggest keys of the game in terms of the defensive side of the ball. If you're going to be bad at tackling and not great at covering, at least force a couple turnovers here and there.
Yep.
So my biggest keys to this game are establish the run on offense against a defense that has really struggled to stop the run, and then take care of the ball and force turnovers, because that is something that Colorado has struggled with. They turn the ball over and they don't return the favor. So those are my two keys to the game. Sorry.
Yeah, I'd say my keys to the game, if I had to go different than what you said, because I totally agree. If I had to go different, I think it's, Scotty Fox getting going in the pass game after the run game has been established, right? Because give what the defense takes you, it's a push and pull. Scotty Fox get going through the air, not turn the ball over. Key number one. And defense, key number two, again, get pressure. Sort of goes off what you were saying with the tackling and coverage, but get pressure on Julian Lewis, and I think you're fine. And turnovers don't hurt either. So if we can continue to play our brand of football the way we played against Houston and the way we were able to hold TCU, especially in that second half, I see the Mountaineers coming out with a solid victory here to get 4 wins and hopefully more. But 4 is sort of where people have the threshold right now.
You can't get complacent, and as like you said, and as I mentioned, you've got to tackle better. You've got to find a way because they may be struggling, but there are still playmakers on this Colorado offense. Michael Welch at running back, he's got 78 carries on the year, 313 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And then Amarian Miller in that wide receiver room has 28 catches, 521 yards, and 6 touchdowns. You got to keep an eye on him. Don't let that be the guy that Julian Lewis finds a way to get to and gets him into a rhythm and that gets him going. So you've got to keep your eyes on Amarian Miller, Michael Wells in the backfield. And then there's other guys in that wide receiver room as well. Joseph Williams, Sincere Brown, all 3 of those guys combined account for over 1,000 yards and 6 touchdowns. Amarian Miller has 6 of those touchdowns on his own, as I mentioned. So they still have playmakers. You got to tackle better. That's everybody, and you want to tackle them before they can get to the second and third levels. Fred Perry has been our leading tackler. He plays that nickel safety position, so he's up further most of the time anyway. But don't let him get to the secondary because those are just extra yards you're giving up after they've already broken a tackle or two. Once they get past the D lines and the linebackers, so tackle better, take care of the ball, force turnovers, establish the run. And if you can do those 4 things on your home field, we might see the first winning streak of the year. Both teams struggling, 3-6, 1-5 in conference. That's the same for both teams. Can you stay safe and theoretically open to a bowl game?
Zach Alley in the locker room before the game. If you do these 128 different things, we're gonna win the football game.
Hey, I named 4. I only named 4.
So yeah, what you were saying also reminds me of Eric McAllister for TCU. Dude basically had 200 yards receiving on us and only had 1 touchdown, and it felt like it was him on offense and nobody else. So
that was the same for Houston as well. His name escapes. Is it Amari Thomas or something like that?
Amari Thomas, yeah.
His name escapes me if that's not it.
But he only had 99 yards, but he had 3 touchdowns on us as well. And Tanner Kozel with the 1 touchdown. So there are 2 leading receivers on the year, both ate us up in the secondary.
Yeah, so you've got to keep an eye on the guys that are the big names for these schools, right? Because like you said, Eric McAllister for TCU, Amari Thomas for Houston, and now you've got to watch out for Amari and Miller at Colorado. Granted, Connor Wigman and Josh Hoover have a lot more experience than Julian Lewis does, but still, you got to keep an eye on those big name receivers.
Yep, I feel confident going on a Saturday, and it's first noon game of the year. Correct.
It's the first time we've been. No, I don't. I thought we had a noon game earlier. On the road. On the road, we've had
on the road. Well, yeah,
Houston
was a noon game technically, but yeah.
Game. It's the first time we've been favored in over 2 months.
That's crazy because I think Pitt was favored over us after Ohio. Yeah, we were favored over Ohio and Robert Morris. That was it. So that's crazy. All right.
Can you find a way?
Yeah, I think we got it, but we'll get to that in a second. This is going to be a segment over to our Pick Ems. Let me pull up the banners here. So we're going to go ahead and do our Week 11 Pick Ems. We don't have Matt Howe and Matt Limbs on here to do them with us, but I'm sure on the next show we'll recap and regroup and get our records together. So Matt Howe and I are tied, correct? I think we are
You are
both
tied 100
63 and
games into the
37.
season. 100 games into the season. You're both 63 and 37. I had a rough week last week. I think I went 4-6 if I'm not mistaken, but I sit at 56-44. 7 games behind, considering all things isn't terrible, but I've got to make up some ground if I want a shot at having a better record than you guys at the end of the year. Matt's picks are in our notes, so I will read out his picks, but like you said, he's not here to give them to us. First matchup has potential American Conference Championship game implications, which therefore has playoff implications, and that's Tulane at Memphis. Memphis is the only team other than Miami to beat USF, who right now is just destroying the crap out of UTSA, who just beat Tulane. So, in my mind, this one's not going to be too tough of a pick, but who do you have?
Honestly, you were saying this ain't going to be too tough of a pick, but I don't know. This is kind of a tough pick to me because we've seen Tulane get on a roll and we've seen Memphis get on a roll. They beat USF. However, Tulane, I feel like, plays up to their competition, and we've already seen Memphis lose to UAB, which kind of worries me. So for that reason, I'm going to go with Tulane, and I may be shooting myself in the foot here. Who knows? But I'm going to go with Tulane. I feel like they have the pedigree to get it done. However, Memphis wins. They're favored. It's all cool. But I'm gonna go with Tulane.
If this one was at Tulane, I would rock with you, but on the road at Memphis, tough place to play. I'm going to rock with the Tigers to continue to roll. However, I do want Memphis to lose one in the near future because I do want South Florida back in that American title race. If I'm going to be honest, I think they're the best G5 team, and the only team I think has even a minor shot at beating a Power 4 opponent in the playoffs, if any at all. So I'm going to go Memphis. Matt is on the same page as me. He went Memphis as well. College game day. Big 12 game of the week and probably Big 12 game of the year, and could be a potential rematch. We could see a potential rematch later on in the year if this ends up being the conference championship game. But the Cougars head down to Lubbock to play Texas Tech. Big time matchup. Who do you have?
I say it's the most important game of the week, 100%. SWAC game days there. Undefeated BYU playing one-loss Texas Tech. Huge implications here for the Big 12. And honestly, not even for parity's sake, but again, who I think will win. I think the Red Raiders have this at home in Lubbock. And also, I think this is a prime chance to prove why the Big 12 could be a two-bid league for the playoff. If Texas Tech can win this and win out, and if BYU wins out from here after this one loss, I could definitely see both teams getting in the playoff. So I'm going to go Texas Tech. I do think we've seen a lot out of Texas Tech that gives me hope that maybe they can contend to win a playoff game. BYU has been tested, but not to this degree. So for that reason, I'm going to go Red Raiders.
I'm also going to go Red Raiders. I did think about it a little bit, but I just think the Red Raiders are too talented. Barrett Bachmeier, I love him. I love that he wears 47. That is the most college football thing ever. Quarterback wearing the number 47. But that Texas Tech defense and just the high-powered Texas Tech offense is going to be a little bit too much. And if I'm being honest, I do think the Big 12 is a two-bid league this year, and BYU and Texas Tech winning this game and then both teams winning out, in my opinion, is the best chance the Big 12 has to get two teams in. And so I don't know if a 2-loss or 3-loss Texas Tech team gets in and a Big 12 champion. So I'm going to go for Texas Tech, and I think it's what's best for the Big 12. Matt also, like us, is going with Texas Tech. There's not a ton of good high-profile matchup games this week, so we're going to pick a few interesting ones, starting with our favorite team, not named the Mountaineers, the birthplace of college football, because it is the anniversary of college football today. Maryland travels on the road to play the Scarlet Knights. Who you have?
Interesting one. Maryland just got the doors beat off of them by Indiana. No surprise there.
And fired their head coach, I believe.
Ah, really? I did not know that. So that throws a wrench in some things.
It does indeed.
Um, not only for the memes, but actually who I like here, I'm gonna go Scarlet Knights. Rutgers beats Maryland at home.
Ooh, this is a tough game. I think I'm also going to go Rutgers, not just for the fan, but Maryland is going through a lot of stuff right now. They start the season 4-0, and they are 0-4 since, coming off of a beatdown against Indiana and some coaching problems. So give me Rutgers, even though Rutgers have not lived up to my expectations this year. So I'm going to go Rutgers as well, as does Matt Howe. He went with Rutgers as well. Texas A&M travels to Missouri. Texas A&M rolling, number 3 in the country. Some would argue they should be number 1. Missouri coming off, I actually can't remember who they played last week, but they now sit at 6-2. They're 2 losses, looking on the outside in to get to the playoff. Who do you have?
I think the Aggies walk into Missouri and take it. They're obviously the higher ranked team for a reason. However, Missouri is still good in their own right. They're missing Bo Prabula for the year, but doesn't mean the rest of their roster's bad, even when they're losing. However, I think the Aggies can go in there and slap their playoff hopes out of their hands. So give me Texas A&M.
Man, I wish they did have Bo Prabula. Because I think Missouri has the talent to give Texas A&M a scare at home, but Texas A&M has looked really good. So I'm going to rock with the Aggies as well. But I would not be, even without Bo Prabula, which I'm saying right now, it looks like he's just questionable and could potentially play. That could be incorrect, but I'm going to read up as we go through the next one. I like A&M. Don't be surprised if it's closer than you expect. Matt Howe goes A&M as well. Oregon travels to Iowa. This is a trap game, if you ask me. Iowa just got ranked. They have looked solid. Their only 2 losses come to Indiana and their rival Iowa State. Could Oregon find themselves in a trap game on the road, if you want to call it a trap game? I guess both teams are ranked, so it doesn't matter. First competition since Indiana that Oregon has played, so it could be tricky. Who do you have?
I also agree with you that this has the potential to be a trap game if you consider it one. Hawkeyes have looked really good, and I believe that they should be ranked as of now. However, we were just talking about this the other day. Dan Lanning not showing up in the playoffs and losing to Indiana, whom we know is one of the favorites for the title. I think that Oregon has to do something here, and this can be a statement game for them. So I can see Dan Lanning, rallying the troops and getting a good win on the road. Give me Oregon, but honestly, I really want to pick Iowa, but give me Oregon.
After further investigation, Bo Prabula is out for the Saturday, but he will be on the sidelines. So, but he is out. I also do want to go Iowa, but something in me says that Oregon is going to go in and shut down all of the dreaming Iowa fans. So I'm going to go Oregon. Although, like Texas A&M at Missouri, don't be surprised when this one is close and comes down to the wire. Interesting game of the week. I put on here because I simply like the chance of playing spoiler for this one. Duke, who is currently in the ACC title race, their hopes are still alive, goes on the road to a 6-3 UConn team whose all 3 losses have come in overtime or double overtime. So they have only lost in overtime, and their quarterback, his name escapes me at the moment, has thrown 22 touchdowns to 0 interceptions. So a little bit of a trap game for a Duke team that's still fighting for an ACC title spot. Who do you have?
Oh man, this is weird. I didn't know all that about UConn, but throwing
Joe
23
Fagano.
touchdowns.
Joe Fagano is the quarterback. He has thrown 22 touchdowns to no interceptions.
Yeah, throwing no interceptions at this point in the year while having that amount of passing touchdowns is crazy. So we know they have the talent there, but I say give me Duke. They're in the title race. They're there for a reason. They've been competitive in all the games thus far, even the ones they've lost. Besides that Illinois game, which is really weird. But I'm gonna say Duke here, but I don't know if I want to say it's gonna be a blowout.
This one's tough, man. Because I really want to go UConn, just like I really wanted to go Iowa, but I just don't know if the UConn Huskies can get it done. They were in the lead. Another note above those overtime losses is they were in the lead in the fourth quarter in all three of those games, including the game against Syracuse before Angeli went down. Oh, goodness. I'm losing anyway. Why not be a little risky? I'm going to say that the UConns find a way to upset the Duke Blue Devils and play spoiler to Duke's. They're still in the title
Interesting.
race, but give me UConn. They find a way.
All right.
I did not say Matt's pick on the last one, but he has Oregon, and he's also going to go with Duke. So he rocks with you. I'm going to say that UConn finds a way. San Diego, another interesting one. San Diego State goes to Hawaii. Hawaii is also 6-3. San Diego State sits at 7-1, and is still hoping that if they win out and win the Mountain West, they could find a way into the college football playoff. This one being on the road is what makes it interesting to me because Hawaii is a sneaky Mountain West team. I think they could play spoiler for San Diego State. What do you think?
They absolutely have the potential to. So during week 0, Hawaii hosted Stanford, the same Stanford team that gave Miami trouble in the first half of their game before Miami went on to win convincingly. But nonetheless, that first half is a little shaky for Miami. Hawaii beat Stanford week 0. So Hawaii at home is a different animal. So I can see how they might come out with the win here. However, San Diego State may be a little more talented than them. But we'll see. The home environment does a lot, especially there for the Rainbow Warriors. I'm going to go with the Aztecs, but big if looming here.
You and Matt are on the same page. He's also going with San Diego State. I'm going to say Hawaii plays spoiler and shuts up any hope that San Diego State goes to the college football playoff. And Hawaii finds a way at home. I love the way they play. I remember I was up till about 3 a.m. one day watching Mountain West After Dark. Utah State and Hawaii played each other. There was a sequence where I think Hawaii tried a fake punt, didn't get it. In the very next play, Utah State scored on a double pass. College football chaos, and I think we see it here. Hawaii finds a way to get it done. Next game, Wake Forest at Virginia. Wake Forest has played spoiler for a couple of teams, and Virginia has looked shaky recently despite still being a one-loss team in the driver's seat for the ACC title. Wake Forest or Virginia?
This, in my opinion, is going to be another very close game, maybe within a field goal or less. And it's going to be shaky for a lot of the second half. Virginia has not been a very good second half team this year, especially in the last few games. However, I think Virginia still finds a way to win even when they're asking to lose. I think they can do it. So give me the Cavaliers for now.
This is another one where I want to take the upset and take Wake Forest, but what Virginia continues the momentum. I love what Chandler Morris is doing there at quarterback. They have playmakers on offense, and they've played some pretty decent defense thus far. Give me the Cavaliers to keep on rolling. Matt Howe has Virginia as well, so we all three think the same on that one. Nebraska travels to UCLA. Pretty much no postseason implications because both of these teams are out of postseason races outside of making a bowl game, Nebraska is without star quarterback Patrick Mahomes. They are without their
Patty
quarterback.
Mahomes.
Yeah, mini Patty Mahomes. They travel into UCLA, a UCLA team that had some momentum, lost some momentum, and you don't know. So who do you have?
This is a weird one for me. No Raiola throws things up in the air a little bit. Matt Rule signing his extension throws things up in the air a little bit because it's not like he's going to be coaching for his career. Um, and with no starting quarterback, especially in a situation like Nebraska's, it could be weird. UCLA hosting. Amaliava, I think, still has potential to play very well. Like you saw him in the Penn State game play like a top 25 quarterback, but then he just decides to play like one of the worst quarterbacks in the country in the next week. So he's very shaky. However, I'm going to take UCLA here. It could be an out of the box pick, but I'm going to go with the Bruins.
This one's tough for me simply because they're without Raiola. If they had Raiola, I would go Nebraska 100% of the time. This is tough, man. I'm going to say that Nebraska finds a way, even without Dylan Raiola. Give me the Cornhuskers. UCLA, just outside of that little 3-game stretch, have not looked good. I understand that the last game they played was against Indiana, who many would also argue deserves the number 1 spot. I don't know. Tough game. Give me Nebraska. Last one. Colorado travels to West Virginia. The John Denver Bowl. Who do you have? And score prediction.
Who do I have? I'm gonna go with the Mountaineers. This is a rare time this year that I picked them, and probably the last time of the year that I picked them. We'll see though. So gotta go with the Mountaineers here. Colorado's secondary, is vulnerable. Their run defense is vulnerable, and if we can get Dior Hubbard, Sincere Bowers to be more efficient with their runs, get the offensive line to get some push up front, and have our defense do better tackling and getting pressure on their quarterback, I think we're good. Especially noon game. Noon games are different in Morgantown. Morgantown miracles happen as well. So I'm going to go with the Mountaineers. Score prediction is another story because it'll either be really low or high. I don't think there's a middle ground here. I don't think we win like 21, 24 points. So I'm going to lean the higher range. I'm going to go West Virginia 38. I was teetering on 38-42. I'm going to go West Virginia 38, Colorado 20.
Blowout. Not really, but 3-possession game.
Yeah. It's going to be a 18-point game. So 3 possessions.
One of these teams is riding high with some momentum. The other is down in the dumps trying to find something with a true freshman quarterback, much like us a couple games ago. The difference here is that West Virginia does have the momentum and they're at home. I would rather it be a night game. That's when the real magic happens in Morgantown. But either way, I'm going to go with West Virginia. I think you continue the momentum. Like you said, I think that our players and Rich Rod as a coach, they all have the mental fortitude to not get too caught up on a win over a top 25 opponent, come in ready to play. I think what they struggle at is going to play really well into West Virginia hands. They struggle to stop the run. We run the ball decent. When our line seems to play okay, which they did against Houston, and Scotty Fox was under center, we finally found some momentum on in the run game. So what they struggle at, I saw us excel against Houston. So that plays into our hand really well. I'm going to go 31-17. I don't think we quite get to 45 again, but I do see us finally putting some points on the board in consecutive weeks and get our first win streak of the season. It's no question where Matt Howe went. He said, give me the Mountaineers, as he does every week. He was the only guy to get it right last week.
We need more people like him, man. Even our fans aren't that good.
Can we go 3 for 3? Can all three of us get it right this week? West Virginia finally favored. Can they ride the momentum? I hope
You
so.
know, now that you've said that, with our luck, we won't. Now that you've said that, and all of us have picked them, they
Well,
won't do
I'll
it.
be honest. I thought about picking Colorado just for some jinx reasons, but I'm not a superstitious person. So if we win, we win. If we lose, we lose. Is there too much? There's not really much on the line. It's just going out there playing for pride. I did have a proposal that I thought I would make, and because it seems so bleak that I'm willing to make it. If we manage to get to a bowl game and win, I'll cut the mullet off.
Really?
I will do away with the mullet if we find a way to get to a bowl game and win. That's a tall task because you have Texas Tech and Arizona State remaining, and you got to beat a bowl opponent if that happens. But who knows?
All right, Rich Rod came on. We know you're watching. You gotta do this for
We would
Tyler.
love you on the show.
You gotta do this for Tyler. We gotta see a bald Tyler, not just
No,
mulletless
not
Tyler,
shaved,
but
just the
bald Tyler.
mullet, just the mullet. I will never. I'm not going bald until we win the Big 12. That's my rule.
That's fair. I like that. That's all
I will
right.
fully shave it if we win the Big 12, but until then, the top of my hair stays on, but the mullet will come off if we go 7-6 this year.
All right, you heard it here first.
You heard it here first. We'll
right,
clip it and put it into a short as we cut my mullet off after it happens.
Fair enough. That's a good idea. And it's also Military Appreciation Day, so that's why we got the flag in the background. Cool looking flag. And the band will be doing some cool stuff. So stay for halftime. If you're going to be at the game, stay in your seats, watch the band. Tyler's going to be down there playing some sweet licks. Good
No
Military
spoilers.
Appreciation Day. Going to have some good merch there too. Love the show and love the day. So going to be a pretty cool day in Morgantown, especially if we can get a dub. So looking forward to it.
It's a great day to be a Mountaineer, wherever you may be.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to wrap it up for us. Again, before we hang it up, like the video. It really helps us out in the algorithm. Subscribe to the channel. Follow the Instagram. Follow the X. And don't forget about the Spotify. This will be up there. So from me and from Tyler, we will see you after the Colorado game on the next one.
Goodbye, America.